What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to talk about how every single current UFC champion can become the GOAT of their division. Some of these guys are 2 or 3 wins away from becoming the GOAT of the sport, in some people's eyes at least. And I'm going to be talking about all the fights that I think they need to take and need to win to get to that point where they're either the GOAT of their division or the GOAT of the sport in some people's eyes. Of course, it's always going to be objective. There's going to be, dude, Damian Maia's lucky to get, man. Dude, Ryan Hall's the GOAT. But this is just talking generally. All right, man. Let's start off with my flyweight GOAT, Joshua Van. I mean, the kid's already the flyweight. No, listen, dude. Being objective, when we're talking about the flyweight division, is anybody genuinely ever going to pass Mighty Mouse? I don't believe it, right? Same with light heavyweight with John Jones. Same with middleweight with Anderson Silva. Like, I don't know if any... Same with GSP as well. A lot of these guys that have double-digit title defenses, it's going to be a really tough fucking sell, especially for the old heads that are living in 2009 eating, like, Guitar Hero meals from fucking KFC. They're never going to doubt those guys as the GOAT and believe in some new guy. So I think when you're looking at the GOAT of a division, or how do you get really close to that point, in the modern era, you need at least like 4 to 5 title defenses to get in the conversation. So I think for Joshua Van, number one, definitively beat Pantoja. I think that's a huge step because Pantoja was getting to that level of discussion. I don't think he's close to Demetrius Johnson. I'm just going to keep it real. No bias whatsoever. I love Pantoja. I'm a big fan of Mighty Mouse as well. I don't think it's even really close. Like, the guys that Mighty Mouse beat, are they these big name value guys like a Brandon Moreno or whatever? No, but his wins have not aged poorly at all. They've actually aged really, really well. Some of Pantoja's title defenses have not aged well at all. So I think for Joshua Van to kind of enter that discussion, it's going to be really hard, but you got to beat Pantoja clearly. That's going to absorb at least 2 title defenses, logistically speaking. And then you need to defend against Tatsuro Taira. That to me is a big fight. He has a win over Brandon Moreno. Van already has a decent resume, beating Brandon Royval, beating some of these other guys. I think avenging a loss against Charles Johnson at some point would be really good. And I think he needs to get rid of Manel Kape as well. I think, this is what I'll say positively about Joshua Van's chances to be in the flyweight GOAT discussion. This guy's 24, bro. He's 23, 24. He's the same age as me. I feel really unaccomplished every time I watch this dude. But if he can get through Pantoja, which I genuinely believe he can, and Tatsuro Taira, I think he wins both of those fights stylistically. If he can get through Manel Kape, the rest of the division, I think a Charles Johnson rematch, he will be able to win that. That's a good win for him to get back. I think if he can, he's the type of guy that if he can get through these 3, he's super active, he's super young. A loss to Pantoja and then he bounces back is not really going to affect him that much. He's super high output in terms of how often he fights. And I think that Joshua Van has the style, the youth, all that type of stuff on his side, to where he can rack up some defense. He could rack up 5 title defenses if he puts it all together properly. So it's going to be a big ask, but I think Joshua Van needs to beat Pantoja clearly, needs to beat Tatsuro Taira, Manel Kape, Charles Johnson. That puts you at 4 title defenses, same as Pantoja, and you have a win over him. I think people would start to be like, Joshua Van's the second greatest flyweight of all time if he was to do those things, and then maybe a couple more wins. You're starting to be like, well, he's fought better competition. You know what I mean? That is kind of the narratives that would start. Because I swear to God, in every division, tell me if I'm wrong, as soon as you hit 4 or 5 title defenses, people just consider it like, dude, he's low-key the fucking GOAT of the division. Like, they just ignore the other guys' double-digit accomplishments because they like these new dudes better. But that's what I think for Van, all right? Let's move on to Petr Yan in the Bantamweight division because I actually think he is a guy that is 2 to 3 wins away from being considered the Bantamweight GOAT. Exactly the same as Merab was, right? Merab was in an interesting spot where he already had all these great wins, and then, boom, gets the title, doesn't even have a defense, but he's already kind of in the conversation. Then he racks up the 3 defenses. Then he loses to Petr Yan. He is the Bantamweight GOAT, but I think that his legacy is of 3 title defenses. And, you know, some wins over Cejudo and Aldo at Bantamweight do help, but I think that Petr Yan can surpass him as the Bantamweight GOAT with these wins. Number 1, win the trilogy against Merab. I don't give a fuck what people say. We need to see a trilogy. They have 2 50-45s on each other's head. We need to see this rivalry completed. I want to see the trilogy first before I see anything else. I love Sean O'Malley. I'm a big fan of Sean O'Malley. Okay, dude? I'm cool with Tim Welch and all the boys. All right? I don't care if this gets me cut off from my THC fucking subscription or whatever. Being real, it's a travesty if Sean O'Malley gets a title shot before Merab. It needs to be Merab versus Jan 3. I think Jan has a great chance to win that, being the second guy to win in the trilogy. Usually whoever wins the second fight wins the third fight. So if Jan can definitively beat Merab again, that is huge. And then if he can beat Sean O'Malley in a 5-round rematch, and honestly, this is a toss-up for me. Same with the Merab trilogy. Like, these are both hard fights. I'm not saying this is a guarantee of Jan beats both of these guys again, because they both have interesting things that make them hard matchups for Jan. I also feel like Jan has made improvements where I could see him winning both of these fights. I think against Merab, he showed that his takedown defense can be turned into offense now, and he has these great reads on the feet that I think can help him pay off and out damage Merab. Mainly in the striking, just like we saw in the second fight, which was just a beautiful performance. And against O'Malley, I think the biggest things in that first fight that made it competitive was, number one, Petr Yan kept ducking his head, and that helped Sean O'Malley find that knee up the middle. Sean O'Malley was able to kind of capitalize on the long framing guard with his right hand, drop him pretty badly, you know, have some good moments on the feet that made it very close, competitive in the striking. Petr Yan was able to get takedowns. Sean O'Malley slowed down and spent some time on bottom. I think they've both cleaned up their games in those aspects to where a second fight is even more competitive and mainly a striking matchup. So I think it goes either way. But if Jan can beat Merab and then Sean O'Malley and then maybe rack up a title defense against Umar, because honestly, I've said this in another video, but I think Umar has the worst chance out of O'Malley and Merab and Umar to beat Petr Yan. Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like Umar is chinnier. His cardio is worse. And I don't know, dude. Like, maybe he has the physicality to where if he gets a hold of Yan, he's going to actually backpack him and get some sort of dominant positions, which Merab doesn't really do that much. Maybe that's an argument you could make. But from my opinion, my perspective, I feel like Umar's just chinnier than both of those guys. So I think Yan would low-key KO him or rock him really badly, be able to out damage him. But what I'm saying is, this is a realistic path. If Yan beats Merab in the trilogy, beats Sean O'Malley in a rematch, which is probably what's going to be next, and then beats Umar, he's the bantamweight GOAT. Like, I think that is not ridiculous to say. So that's a very realistic path we could see even happen this year, or by the end of like early 2027, we could be saying, you know what, Yan is actually the bantamweight. I know there's people out there that already had him as the bantamweight GOAT before he even fought Merab the second time. And, you know, listen, dude, I'm not even going to address the type of goofy shit. Like, I feel like people just fake hard. Like, you're allowed to be a complete fucking bot if it's a cool fighter. Like, it's most like you are allowed to just give dumb takes if it's about someone that everybody loves. But I think if Yan pulls this off, he is actually the bantamweight GOAT. So let's move on to the featherweight division, mate. Volk's already the fucking featherweight GOAT, dude. Volk is already the fucking featherweight GOAT, okay? Jose Aldo has lost to every other featherweight champion that he's fought. Facts, okay? Volk's downfall came from going up to 155. His losses are to Islam and Ilya. Pound for pound number one, pound for pound number two. Two of the greatest fighters of all time, and Volk is right there with them, with all of his title defenses over guys that are equivalent to the names that Jose Aldo was beating. He absolutely destroyed everybody in his path. 3 wins over Max Holloway definitively puts you as the featherweight GOAT, in my opinion. I'm just going to say it like it is, dude. When the title we're not talking about Jose Aldo having fucking 12 title defenses against this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. Half of his wins are from the fucking WEC. That's number one. Number two, Jose Aldo lost the belt to Max Holloway, lost to him twice. Volk beats him 3 times. 50-45s him twice. Volk's the fucking featherweight GOAT. But if you want to make it completely undeniable to the Brazilian casuals, I think Volk has to beat Lopez and then beat Evloev, and then he's definitively, no arguments needed, the featherweight GOAT. That, to me, like, makes it impossible to argue. I even feel like right now it's already impossible to argue, but it is what it is. There's always going to be someone out there, dude, Cobb Swanson's a better win than fucking Brian Ortega, bro. Dude, this guy beat up a wash TKZ, bro. Dude, Aldo beat the real TKZ, bro. ignoring the fucking Max Holloway wins. Like, dead ass, that shit carries so hard. I'm sorry, it's just not even close. It's just not even close to me. I think Volk's the featherweight GOAT. But if he beats Lopez again, and he beats Evloev, and he's a 2-time featherweight champion, and he's only lost 1 time in the division to fucking pound for pound number 2 Ilia Topuria, double champion Ilia Topuria, it is completely fucking undeniable. But yeah, it is what it is. That's a pretty easy one for me, all right? Let's talk about Ilia, dude, because Ilia is one of the 2 guys on this list, actually 3, that I don't think he'll stick, or I don't think he gives a fuck about being the lightweight GOAT. I don't think Ilia Topuria is actually the type of guy that cares about defending his fucking belt, being the lightweight GOAT, whatever it is. It felt like that was important to Islam Makhachev. I guess I'll say that. It felt like that was important to Charles Oliveira, was to just defend his belt against whoever was in his way. Ilia Topuria is chasing Islam Makhachev. Like, that's just what it is, dude. But I think for him to be in the conversation is not ridiculous. I think starting off with a KO win over Charles Oliveira, very, very good start to your lightweight career. And I think that if he racks up these wins, he can be in the discussion with, like, Khabib and Charles and Islam as like, oh, I don't know, dude, I think Ilya's the lightweight GOAT, whatever it is, he would have beat Islam at 155. I think it wouldn't be ridiculous to say that if he was to beat the interim champion, whoever it is, whether it's Big Rufus or if it's Paddy the fucking body, lad, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking fighting for the fucking belt, lad. I'm gonna teabag fucking El Chorizo, you know what I mean? Like, nobody talks about it, lad. If he beats the interim champion, that is a great start, especially by brutal KO. Then, if you beat Arman Sarkarian. Now, the thing about Arman Sarukian is, yes, he has a loss to Islam Makhachev already, but if you are able to finish Arman Sarukian and Islam Makhachev couldn't, that is something you have over him, right? That's something you have in your GOAT case, right? You have the fact that you KO'd Charles, KO'd Arman, KO'd Paddy, KO'd Gaethje, whoever it is. That is a great start to the run, right? Because what it is with Khabib is like, people always point out, oh, he crushed a bunch of cans on his day, like he had a padded record, whatever it is. Okay, but and I've been a hater of him in the past. I've been like, bro, this guy won the belt of fucking Al Iaquinta, right? Valid fucking criticism. But at the same time, I can look at Khabib's resume and say, well, he did finish Michael Johnson pretty easily. He did beat RDA before he became the champion, right? He already fought RDA. He beat Edson Barboza when he was a top contender. He finished Dustin Poirier. He finished Prime McGregor, even though McGregor was coming off a layoff. I'm still going to give him credit for finishing McGregor because it's not that easy, right? Finished Justin Gaethje pretty easily as well. Khabib has these dominant victories over top contenders. So if Ilia Topuria is able to say, I KO'd Charles, I KO'd Arman, I KO'd Paddy, I KO'd Gaethje, and then I reckon another name that would probably add to his legacy a lot is beating Max Holloway at 155. Because I'm never going to get off the train of, listen, Max Holloway had to cut down to 145 after being at 155. Of course, that's going to impact his fucking chin. And I think at 155, he might do better because he was doing pretty good against Ilia. He had him limping, dude. He was attacking that lead leg with the oblique kicks. Great idea. Landing some nice elbows, landing some nice 1-2s. Great competitive back and forth fight for as long as it lasted. I think that if Ilia Topuria can definitively close the case on Max Holloway at 155, where he has more power, where his chin isn't as compromised from a weight cut, whatever you want to say, whatever excuses people might have for that first fight, if you erase all doubt and slime him out again, you have 3 title defenses. You have great wins over former champions. You might be the double BMF and UFC champ. Like, you have some shit to say in that lightweight GOAT discussion. So I think that's a realistic path for Ilia. But honestly, like I said before, I don't think he gives a fuck about being the lightweight GOAT, dude. I feel like this will never happen. I feel like he's not going to stick around at 155. If he can get the Islam fight, like I really believe if Justin Gaethje wins at UFC 324, Ilia is going to vacate his belt. I'm not going to do nothing. And go up and fight Islam at the White House, some crazy shit like that. The UFC will put it together for a massive big event or something like that, because it is a generational fight that we do want to see. But I really believe Ilia is on that McGregor type timing where he doesn't give a fuck about defending against Joe Schmo if he can get the #1 pound for pound fight, the biggest money fight in the UFC, triple championship status. I really believe he will do that shit instead of fighting Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje, excuse me. I think he will fight Paddy. If Paddy gets the interim belt, I think Ilya will fight him, and maybe he'll fight Arman, but I really don't see that happening. So if he was to focus on being a lightweight GOAT, that's what I think he would do, all right? Let's move on to Islam Makhachev, and this is a weird spot. This is a weird thing to say, but you got to hear me out on this. I think Islam has a better chance of being considered the GOAT of the sport than he does of being the GOAT of the welterweight division. I think it's going to be a really hard task to become the welterweight GOAT in anyone's eyes, when we're probably going to see Islam for another 3 or 4 fights max. That's going to be the end of his career at that point. He's probably going to retire on top as the welterweight champion. But I think if he racks up 3 specific wins, maybe even 2 specific wins, I think he goes down as the GOAT of the sport. I mean, he's already the lightweight GOAT, in my opinion. He's already, cleared out this legendary resume, especially in his championship wins. JDM on a fucking 18-fight win streak. Volk on a 21-fight win streak in his career. In the UFC, it was a 12-fight win streak. Charles Oliveira was on a massive win streak as well. These are all legendary names, right? I think that Islam Makhachev, if he defends his belt against Ian Gary, who is the #1 contender. We all hate Ian Gary. I get it, dude. But he's the #1 contender. It should not be fucking Marty Fake Newsman next. It should be Ian Machado Gary. And I think that's a great win, dude. Especially if he actually finishes this dude. Because the only person with a win over Ian Gary that I'm sick of fucking hearing about is Shavkat Rakhmonov, dude. People bring up this Shavkat beating Ian Gary as he deserves a title shot. Shavkat held this dude against the cage for 3 rounds. That's how he won. The most exciting moments of the fight of fucking Shavkat the Marauder, who's levels above JDM and everyone else supposedly, is Ian Gary almost finishing you, bro. Getting on your back, almost submitting you just like he did to guys like MVP and all these other dudes. And this is the guy that should be jumping everybody else, sitting on the sidelines for 2 fucking years tweeting, you know who the real challenge is. Fuck that, dude. I want to see Islam versus Ian Gary. And this is the interesting fight for Islam, but I do think he wins this. I think that he has the complete skill set to beat basically anybody in MMA. He is one of the most skillful, well-rounded fighters of all time. I already have him as #1 on my GOAT list, I'm not going to lie. Looking at what he's done in the modern era, in the most competitive division, the lightweight division, now up at welterweight, beating JDM so easily, and with the potential to beat a guy like Ian Gary. I think he beats Shavkat as well. I don't even know why he's in the discussion, but I think Islam versus Ian Gary is the fight that helps him. And then I think a title defense against Kamaru Usman when he actually deserves it. So if Kamaru Usman actually does this funny thing called taking a fucking fight and fight someone like Carlos Prates or Shavkat or Michael Morales or JDM and wins any of those fights, then I will 100% get on here and go, dude, Kamaru Usman deserves a title shot right now. And I think everybody else would agree. If this fight is next, I'm fucking chinning my neighbor, dude. If this fight is 2 fights away, I'm excited about it. I think it's a great matchup. This is a huge legacy win for Islam. That's why they want this fight. This is a huge legacy fight. I'm just going to be real. I don't think Usman deserves it yet. I think he's 1 fight away, but I'm just going to be real. Usman on your resume is better than Michael Morales. It's better than Carlos Prates. It's better than having JDM on your resume, as good as JDM is. It's better than having Ian Gary on your resume. That's just a fact, right? So if Kamaru Usman earns a title shot and we see this fight later this year, this is a huge win for Islam Makhachev. If he's able to beat Kamaru Usman, Charles Oliveira, Alexander Volkanovski, JDM, all these guys on his resume, and a title defense against Ian Gary, I think you're looking at the GOAT of the sport. And if you just want to be sure, throw in a Michael Morales win, dude. Throw in a Michael Morales defense as well. This is a hard fight. This is a fucking hard fight, and I'm kind of fucking with this matchup because of how zesty Morales is. The fact that he's playing into it and being like, yeah, I'm gonna make Islam fall in love with me, dude. This is Michael Morales is kind of selling this fight. The move in 2026 is just zest max, dude. Because the way that he's selling this fight is actually hilarious. And I kind of want to see Islam lose to him. And he, Michael Morales is twerking. Khabib's fucking, what the fuck? Crashing out in the corner. I think it'd be kind of hilarious, to be honest. But all jokes aside, You're looking at a guy, Islam Makhachev, if he gets 2 or 3 title defenses at welterweight, he's the GOAT of the sport, right? You've conquered the lightweight division. You've defended the welterweight title multiple times, especially if you beat Kamaru Usman. I think that it's not like Islam Makhachev genuinely is 2 or 3 wins away from being the GOAT of the entire sport. In my opinion, I think that is really not ridiculous to say when you actually look at the guys that he could potentially beat in his next 2 or 3 fights. So that's my opinion on Islam. Let's move on to Khamzat Chimaev, dude. Brother, I can't fight for the belt, bro. I have to give up the belt, man. I want to fight at fucking 205, man. I want to fight for the fucking triple belt. No, I don't give a fuck, man. You have to give me the belt. The thing about Khamzat that pisses me off is he has the skill set, he has the game, he has the style, if you will, where he could actively be fighting every 3 or 4 months. It is not ridiculous to say Khamzat could rack up 3 or 4 title defenses in a fucking year. He is that good. He is that good. I really believe this dude could fight 4 times in a year and defend his belt 4 times. I think he beats Nasruddin Imavov. I think he beats Sean Strickland. I think he beats Anthony Hernandez. But Anthony Hernandez is a really tough fight for him. I think Hernandez would give him a tough fight. I think he beats Brendan All-In Allen. I think he beats Dricus in a rematch, right? But this is realistically what I think is going to happen, dude. I think Chimaev is going to fight Nasruddin Imavov at some point this year. It's going to be a somewhat competitive fight, but then Chimaev wins pretty easily. I think he's going to fight the winner of Strickland versus Hernandez at some point, maybe if we're lucky, December, or most likely January next year. We see Chimaev defend his belt for a second time, and then he's probably going to vacate the belt and try and go up to light heavyweight because it'll be dead, because Alex Pereira won't be there. Once we have Yuri versus Olberg and Yuri versus, maybe Ankalaev sorted out, I think the UFC will be desperate to get somebody exciting up there. And most of the time, the middleweight champion moving up is usually the move when light heavyweight turns the ship. So I think that Chimaev will probably move up to 205 and we'll see Yuri versus Chimaev or something crazy like that. And he will just leave this division behind and do the same thing at 205. Like, that's real. I really feel like that's very realistically what's going to happen. But he does have the potential to be the middleweight GOAT skill for skill, right? Maybe he's on the older side and he can't rack up all those title defenses, but I think stylistically, he could be fighting 3 to 4 times a year and smashing all these middleweights. He's not this huge, ginormous middleweight. He's cutting fucking 40 pounds like Alex Pereira. He's not this muscular fucking guy. He's just a very athletic, insanely talented grappler. But it's frustrating because I don't think he'll do it. And you know what is? This is my last take on the middleweight division. I think Dricus actually has a sneaky chance to kind of end up in that conversation. Kind of be like to surpass Israel Adesanya. That's what, bro, I never said Dricus would be the middleweight guy, bro. I just said he could be the middleweight guy. 2 totally different things. Because you got to think about this, right? Khamzat's leaving the division in 2 or 3 fights, right? Dricus du Plessis, I think he beats Brendan Allen. I think he beats Sean Strickland if they ever fight again. I think he's proven that he is the second best middleweight in the division right now. I think him versus Hernandez is a super competitive fight, but I could see Dricus pulling that off, dude. So I feel like Dricus du Plessis, if Chimaev leaves the division and Dricus gets the belt back, he could rack up another 3 or 4 title defenses. And we're looking at a guy with like 7 title defenses, maybe 8 title defenses as a whole. I think he could end up in that. I'm not saying skill for skill comparison. I'm just saying like career-wise, in that Jose Aldo type of thing where it's like, okay, he did lose the belt pretty dominantly, but he got it back. And he racked up another title defense. You know what I mean? That, to me, is not ridiculous to say. I think, actually, if you know ball, you realize I'm kind of cooking. That Dricus du Plessis is, if he just holds out for like a year and a half or maybe 2 years, he could get the belt back and get another 2 or 3 title defenses and retire and be like, bro, I'm low-key the middleweight GOAT. Like, I've got all these wins over Strickland and Adesanya and, whoever else, Hernandez, Allen, all these other guys. Like, I beat everybody, Mavov, I beat all these other guys. I just didn't beat Chimaev, you know what I mean? And he ran away. Like, he could low-key pull that move. I'm not going to lie. Dricus du Plessis is very convincing. I think he could pull that move, all right? Let's move on. Let's talk about Alex Pereira at light heavyweight. I mean, he's already the GOAT. He pulled Tracy Cortez, but listen, bro. All jokes aside, this is another guy I don't think he's sticking around at 205. I think he's going up to heavyweight. But let's just play pretend here and say, how does Alex Pereira end up as the light heavyweight GOAT? Well, he can play the natty card. He can be like, listen, John Jones was a roid head, blah, 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 blah. He won't do. He is a fan of John Jones for some reason. But I think if Alex Pereira just keeps racking up defenses, dude, fight Carlos Frodberg, dude. Fight Azamat Mozakhanov, the professional. Defend your belt against whoever the fuck deserves. Just Pantoja Max. Just fight. No, Demetrius Max. Just fight and trick shot all these fucking guys again and again and again. Fight Olberg. Fight Azamat. Khalil gets a win. All right, let's do a rematch. The first fight was too competitive. Finish him again. You know what I mean? Keep farming. Ankalaev gets a win. All right, let's run the trilogy, bro. Boom. Farm another win. Yuri. Fuck it, let's run the trilogy. Just keep running up title defenses until you hit double digits, then you're the light heavyweight GOAT. That is not like, I think Alex Pereira could possibly do that if he wants to, but I don't think he will. I don't think he's sticking around the sport very much longer. He's made a lot of money. I think that he's pretty done with light heavyweight. He's cleared out the division for the most part, except for Olberg and Azamat Mozakhanov, but I don't think there's anybody out there that goes outside that's like, dude, I need to see Azamat versus Pereira, bro. It would be a sick fight. Like, I'm going to give props to the professional army. I think Azamat Mozakhanov is a tough fight for Alex Pereira. He's a short, little, dangerous southpaw. We've seen Pereira struggle with southpaws before. Azamat's got quick hands. He's got big power. It would be an interesting fight. It's not selling any pay-per-views. Nobody gives a fuck about Azamat Mozakhanov. That is a casual Alex Pereira fan. And I think he knows that. I think he's cleared out light heavyweight in terms of big fights and big names and storylines and all that shit. And he's going to go up to heavyweight. So I don't think it'll happen, but if he did just stick around at 205, I think he could rack up another 3 or 4 title defenses and then retire. The last one to talk about, mate. Why are you guys fucking booing me, mate? Mate, I could be the fucking heavyweight GOAT, mate. If I get 3 wins, mate, I'm the fucking heavyweight GOAT, you know. Fucking hell. Why are you guys fucking booing me all of a sudden? What the fuck? Tom Aspinall, dude. I think that now people forget, man. Like it is real. Like, the switch up is crazy on Tom Aspinall. I'm not going to lie, dude. And I know that I got some hate for saying that I think Alex Pereira beats him, but that's not because of, like, Tom Aspinall's now shit because he had a competitive fight with Cyril Gane. People in the comments, these fucking crybabies are like, Tom Aspinall has 1 competitive round. People think he's dog shit now. When the fuck did I say Tom Aspinall sucks? You fucking crybaby. Sorry that I have a different opinion. Fucking hell, man. I just think Alex Pereira is a better striker than Cyril Gane. That's a fact. And he has great takedown defense. That's a fact. He has better takedown defense than Cyril Gane. You fucking bot. Sorry that I didn't. Tom Aspinall beats everybody, bro. That's bot opinions, bro. That's not. I don't know that. I actually need to see him fight Alex Pereira before I make my mind up, dude. But with that being said, Tom Aspinall, in my opinion, has all the potential in the world to be the heavyweight GOAT easily. Easily, I think this guy could be the heavyweight GOAT. Are you telling me this guy can't get 3 title defenses in a row? That's ridiculous. He could easily do that. He should already have 1. Because while Jones was fighting for a fake fucking undisputed belt against Stipe, Tom Aspinall went out there, KO'd Sergey Pavlovich when he was on the best run of his career, when he was the real #1 contender. He was the backup to fight for the belt. Tom Aspinall flatlined him in 60 seconds. Then he defended the belt against Curtis Blades. Those 2 wins are equivalent to John Jones beating Cyril Gane. Like, those guys are all equal name value, in my opinion, in terms of how good of a win that is. Jones had 1. Aspinall has 2 of them. That's really what it comes down to. He should have 1 title defense already. I do think that he beats Cyril Gane in a rematch, but this is what he needs to do. It's really simple, dude. Fight Cyril Gane, beat up Cyril Gane, send him back to fucking Netflix, which I think he will, and I think he would have, dude. I think if the eye poke wasn't so bad and he could have been able to continue, I think he would have won that fight. But the only reason I think Alex Pereira has a good chance against him is because from what I saw in that fight, Tom Aspinall insta takedown, that narrative is kind of gone for me. Like, I need to see him do it again, right? Because it's one thing to do it to fucking Plotty Volkov and fucking all these other guys that he's beat, like fucking Sergey Spivak and Marcin Tybura. He can just zip around them. Like, no shit, dude. But against a Cyril Gane and a Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, a John Jones, I want to see Aspinall against these level of guys and see what he can do. Because we've already seen him against good guys like Pavlovich and Blades, but let's just be real. Volkov, Gane, Jones, like I won't count Volkov because he's still kind of plotty and slow, but Gane, Aspinall, Pereira, Jones, these guys are a level above the rest of the heavyweight division in terms of speed and in terms of, you know, movement and all that type of shit. So I want to see him beat Cyril Gane. I think that's a great step to kind of get rid of that narrative. And then I think if he beats Alex Pereira, which I do think is possible, like, I'm not saying I'm 100% sure Alex Pereira beats this guy based on the Cyril Gane fight. I just feel like Like, this is how this fight goes. Either Alex Pereira actually does have great takedown defense, which we saw in all of his other fights, especially against Magomed Ankalaev, probably the hardest matchup for him in the division. Great takedown defense, and he's able to KO Tom Aspinall and catch him on the chin and just take advantage of. Sometimes he's a little bit sus when he's blitzing in, chin up, weird defense, all that type of shit. I think Pereira could be able to catch him. Or if Aspinall can put Pereira flat on his back, it's over. Like, that is realistically how it goes. So I could see a world where Aspinall wins this fight. So if he beats Gane and he beats Pereira and then he defends his belt against like Waldo, Derek Lewis, Volkov again, I don't know, whoever it is, 3 title defenses, you already have an interim legacy as well, beating Blades, beating Pavlovich, John Jones ducked you. I think Aspinall's the heavyweight GOAT at that point. So this is my path for every UFC champion to be the GOAT of their division or the GOAT of the sport. Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. How likely do you think these are to happen? Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA, and I will see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.